Hey, how's it hanging, everyone? MMA Rituals reporting in, and today I'll be hitting you with my overview of the newly announced UFC 323 pay-per-view card, and what a card this is. I can't believe that Dana White announced it so unceremoniously through Instagram Live. Such a disgrace. However, let's get into this main event starting this card. Now, we've got Merab Dvalishvili, the champion at bantamweight, taking on number 2 ranked contender Petr Yan. So this is a rematch. Of course, these guys fought in 2023, and it solidified the myth of the unbelievable Merab cardio. I mean, he shot a ridiculous amount of takedowns this fight. Something like 55. It's insane. Landed tons and tons of strikes. Petr Yan was completely outclassed. He couldn't get into its second gear. You know, he's a guy who likes to take his time, pick his shots, slow things down, make reads, and Merab just overwhelmed him. Petr Yan was hopeless in that fight. Merab won every round. You know, at the end of the fight, he still had Yan flinching when he went over to shake the guy's hand. I mean, it was horrific. Yan looked like a shell of himself. That was the end of Jan's losing streak, of course. You know, he had lost 2 prior before fighting Merab. But to be fair, the second Aljo fight was razor close, and the Sean O'Malley decision was a robbery. That's just true. That was a robbery. So he technically should not have been on a 3-fight losing streak. 2-fight losing streak going into that Merab fight. But regardless, he was. That's how the dice were rolled. But Petr Yan has earned this second chance. I mean, 3 wins in a row. Now, in his last fight in July, he did take on Marcus McGee, and while I've never been that high on McGee, it was a good performance. You know, Yan gave up the first round, as he usually does, but looked near vintage in the second and third. I mean, if I recall, the third round, he did slow things down, and he looked to grapple for the beginning of that round. But anyway, Yan deserves this rematch. And Merab has been taking out everyone. He's looking to set a record for title defenses in a single year with 4. This is going to be his 4th in December. And, I mean, it's legendary. I really don't like Merab's fight style, but you have to respect what he's doing. You do. And if he wins this fight, I mean, he's already the bantamweight GOAT, but if he wins this fight and gets another solid win over Petr Yan, it's solidified. You can't debate it anymore. Now, this fight, it's definitely going to be more competitive than the first, in my opinion. Petr Yan is not the type of guy who is going to get humiliated in a rematch like this. You know, the first fight was humiliation enough. He went through that. He's dealt with it. Since then, we've seen fighters like Umar Nurmagomedov win multiple rounds off Merab. We've seen Sean O'Malley do the same thing in his first fight. Corey Sandhagen just looked incredible in the first round against Merab. He gives up rounds. The fight against Yan was the outlier there. Against Yan, excuse me. It was the outlier. Merab's not usually a guy who just sweeps the cards against his opponent. So I think this fight is going to be more competitive. I still lean Merab. I'm not picking Yan. I'm definitely not picking Yan, but I do want him to win. That is something that I have to come to terms with. I'm a big fan of Petr Yan. I have been ever since I started watching UFC. He was on the first ever card that I saw. He turned me into a real UFC fan. So I'm forever thankful for Petr Yan. I love watching him fight, always. But I don't think he's going to win this. Now, getting into this co-main event of UFC 323, we've got Alexandre Pantoja versus number 1 contender Josh Van. This is for the flyweight belt. I love Pantoja, man. This guy's such a savage. He does not get the respect he deserves. He doesn't. I don't think it's really that much of a stretch to say he has the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the UFC. I don't think that's a stretch at all. He's a rear naked choke specialist. If he gets your back, the round is over. the round is over. You're not getting out of it. Now, is the fight over? Not always. He doesn't always immediately submit you when he gets the back. But the round is most certainly over. Nobody escapes those back takes from Pantoja. He's so dangerous from that position. His striking is so underrated. So underrated. I mean, in his last 2 fights, we've seen it. He rocked, nearly dropped Kai Asakura, who's a pure striker, and he completely outclassed Kai Kara France on the feet. I mean, he was landing some beautiful Dutch kickboxing combinations. You know, ending exchanges with heavy low kicks, powerful hooks, big right hands, straight down the middle, piecing up Kai Kara France on the feet. The pure striker. I'm excited for this fight. Josh Van, he's the mini Holloway. He's got a huge fan base right now. He's got so much momentum coming off that fight of the year with Royval. It's too much too soon. That's going to be a narrative for this fight card in particular, because I'm going to be coming back to that specific line in a minute here with another one of these fights. But listen, he deserves the shot. He beat Royval for sure, but Pantoja is just another level. I mean, the guy's technicality on the ground is just not something that the 23-year-old Van is going to be able to overcome. I mean, you know, this guy, he just doesn't have that experience yet. You know, the only grappler that I think we've seen him against is Ray Saruya, and he did great in that fight. You know, he shucked off tons of takedowns. I think about 25 or so, but I don't think it's going to matter here. I just don't think it matters. Like, take Kai Kara France, for instance. You know, you see him defending jiu-jitsu positions all the time. It's one of his best attributes. That's what was so compelling about that fight between Pantoja and Kai Kara France, is that Kai Kara France presumably had the striking advantage, but he was also such an expert at defending specifically back takes and rear naked chokes. If you remember in the fight against Askar Askarov, he's just breaking down Askar's game and not letting him get to positions that he's been getting on every other guy that he's fought. You know, it was beautiful to see. But Pantoja, it just didn't even matter. Pantoja's level is just so much higher than everybody else. And if he wins this fight against Van, proves that he is still a step above the new blood, the new generation. He's the flyweight GOAT. He is. Over DJ. I know people don't want to hear that yet. They're not ready for that. But it's true. It's definitely true. He's been fighting the better competition. He's taken out the previous generation's fighters. He's taken out his own generation's fighters. And he's taken out the next generation's fighters. The only other fighter who's ever done that is George St. Pierre. I'm calling it like it is. Pantoja, flyweight GOAT. He should be top 3 pound for pound if he wins this. Am I biased? Yes, I love Pantoja. He's probably my second favorite champion behind Topuria. But regardless of that, let's move on to this next fight. We got Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Now, I'm not a huge light heavyweight fan, you know, but Guskov's terrible. Blachowicz should destroy him here. I don't think he's going to knock him out. I think it's just going to be a technical destruction. Blachowicz wins every round, picks him apart, destroys his legs, blasts kicks to the body. You know, maybe he knocks him down at some point. But I don't see a finish for Blachowicz here. But Guskov is going to have little to no success. Little to no success at all. I don't think he's that good. I could see Blachowicz getting takedowns here too if he wants. Anyway, that's really all I have to say about this one. Blachowicz decision, that's clear to me. Next fight, Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. Now this one's interesting. Peyton Talbot coming off of that win against Felipe Lima. He won a decision. convincingly for sure, but it was close. It was a competitive fight, and just on a 1-fight win streak here. I mean, not even a win streak. The UFC has given him number 10 ranked Henry Cejudo, former double champion. And this is too much too soon for Peyton Talbot. We just saw this guy get ragdolled by Raoni Barcelos. I mean, listen, even if Henry Cejudo's wrestling has looked ineffective recently, I mean, he shot takedowns on Song Yadong. He couldn't really get them. He shot takedowns on Aljo. He wasn't really controlling Aljo much. I don't remember if he shot on Merab, but he certainly didn't get any on him if he did. Regardless of all that, I mean, it's just, I don't think Peyton Talbot can make the strides and improvements in his takedown defense game, in his get-up game, and in his overall grappling to compete with somebody like Cejudo. Even if Cejudo's old and aging and he's got injuries and he's slowing down, and I just don't see how that level can be matched. I mean, Talbot needs to be perfect to win this fight. Cejudo should win a decision here too. That seems like a lock. He's going to be effective on the feet. The striking will be pretty close, I'd imagine. I mean, I know Talbot's a wonderful striker, but I'm being so honest. In that last fight of Cejudo's, I thought he won 2 rounds. I might need to rewatch that. I thought on the technical decision, even though Cejudo was faking the eye poke, not faking an eye poke, but he was playing up the eye poke. I thought Cejudo won 2 rounds striking against Song Yadong. Does anyone think that Talbot can strike with Song Yadong yet? I don't think so. I don't think many people would think that. I just don't see Talbot. His only shot here is just like, fluke knockout, and Cejudo's got a crazy chin. He does. He's got a good chin. It's rarely ever been cracked. I don't think it's ever been cracked. I mean, I think DJ maybe TKO'd him back in the day, but that was like he rolled his foot or something, right? He hurt his leg, and that's how he was able to do it. But yeah, Cejudo's usually known for a good chin. I don't think Talbot's gonna crack him. Pause. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Cejudo here. Boring decision, half guard camping, landing little pitter-pat shots here and there, doing what he needs to do. Anyway, next fight, Brandon Moreno, number 2, versus Tatsuro Taira, ranked number 5. This is a clear number 1 contender fight. If Pantoja beats Van, which I really think he will, Van should be bumped down below the winner of this fight. Now, Moreno's coming off of 2 wins. He beat Amir Albazi, and he beat Urseg. Good wins. He 50-45'd Albazi, but Albazi was coming off of that spine surgery or neck surgery, something horrific, and he looked like a shell of himself. Albazi looked awful. He had nothing in that fight. And Tatsuro Taira, he's coming off of that dominant display over Hyunsung Park, Peace of Mind. And, he knocked him down, got his back, controlled him. Then in the second round, big slam, takedown, face cranks him. I'm going Taira here. I got to say this outright. I love Taira. Taira is my boy. He's my second favorite fighter in the UFC altogether. I absolutely adore Tatsuro Taira. He's one of the 3 fighters that I've got merch for. I'm so biased. If there's any fight to say, hey, maybe your opinion shouldn't be valued as much as other predictors because of bias, it's this one. I love Taira. I think he's going to submit Moreno. I think Tatsuro Taira is going to be the one to get a title shot next after Van loses. I love Taira, though, so this could be too much too soon for him, too. Who knows? I mean, he had his test, I feel like, against Royval last year, and that was a razor-close fight. If you watch it and you're not analyzing it from the lens of round-to-round scoring, it might not seem as close because, round 5 ends and it looks like, oh my God, Royval's just destroyed him. He's nearly finished him. He beat him up that whole round. Round 3 was basically a 10-8. But you need to remember round 2 and round 4. What happened in round 2 and round 4? Tatsuro Taira took down Brandon Royval at the start of the round, basically 15, 20 seconds in. He takes him down immediately, gets the back, round is over. He controls the back the rest of those rounds. I think maybe at the end of the second he loses it when there's like 10 seconds left, but like 4.5 minutes of ground control time, all on the back, looking for a rear naked choke. Taira's back control is maybe as good as Pantoja's. It's incredible. I mean, Pantoja couldn't even do that to Royval. And Taira fought a better version of Royval. I know that he looked bad on the feet, but Brandon Moreno has a very different striking style than Royval. And Royval's style of striking, pure volume, constant output, constant pressure, never letting you have a moment's rest. No thinking, no reads, no setups, just throwing, pure gas the whole way, no breaks. That's not what Moreno does. Moreno is more of a tactician. He likes to look for shots more. He'll pot shot. He's not a powerful guy. I'd say him and Royval have the same amount of power, but Moreno fights differently. He fights completely differently. And Tatsuro Taira is going to shine in that sort of striking exchange. His weakness is the pressure game, the pressure and the volume. When it's just going tit for tat and going technique for technique, Taira has the better kickboxing. He doesn't have the better boxing, absolutely not. But the kicks, I favor Taira. He's going to be chewing up the outside leg, the inside leg, blasting kicks to the body, to the head. His jab's great. His right hand is beautiful. He's got one of the best right hands in flyweight. Moreno is a better striker, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to make this seem like Taira's going to destroy him on the feet. I'm just saying that Taira is not going to get destroyed on the feet. He's not going to get whooped the way that he did against Royval. I think people are going to go into this fight expecting like Tatsuro Taira needs the takedown or the fight's over. He's going to get destroyed. I don't think that's the case. I like Tatsuro here by sub. Now, let's get onto these prelims. They announced 3 prelim fights for this card. All lightweight bouts. I'm looking forward to all of these. The first one, Fares Ziam versus Nazim Sadikov. This is great. I mean, it's not great. Why did I say it's great? This isn't great. I hate this matchmaking. I'm so sorry. I said this was great. The other two are great. I don't like this one at all. I don't. Sadikov, I want to see him fight strikers. I just think Fares is going to... Listen, Fares does strike, but he's not the kind of striker who's going to give Sadikov like a fun, volume-based war that Sadikov really shines in. Ziam, I think, is just going to technically outpoint him. He's gonna be ahead by a couple strikes each round. He'll land the volume, maybe not the damage, but I don't see Sadikov landing crazy damage, like enough to win him the rounds. I don't see that. I see Ziam stalling against the cage when he needs to, kneeing to the thigh, kneeing to the body, maybe little elbows in the clinch. Jabs at range, leg kicks at range, takedowns for sure. I could see maybe Fares Ziam getting the back or looking for a submission here, not getting it. I just see a Ziam decision for sure. Maybe 30-27. Maybe he gets rocked at some point, but he's shown a good shin throughout his career, so I'm not even ready to say that. But yeah, give me Ziam there. And by the way, all of these are just early leans, obviously. I could change my mind on any of these, This is just in my initial thoughts. I should have prefaced that at the beginning of this video, but these are just initial thoughts. Anyway, next fight here. Terrence McKinney and Chris Duncan. This is a banger. This is one I'm really excited for. That being said, it's not very competitive. McKinney's on a bit of a win streak. I think he's got 2 in a row, but against 2 bums. Against 2 bums for sure. And Chris Duncan, he's also on a win streak, but his is much nicer looking. He just beat Mateusz Rebecki, or Rombetsky, I think is how you say it, but I'm just going to say Rebecki. Who cares? Terrence McKinney, basically, he's throughout his career sort of infamously been known as a first round or bust fighter. If he doesn't finish you in the first round, he's probably going to gas out and lose. Now, he's been looking great in his last two because he got 2 early finishes. But have we really seen anything to make us think that if this gets out of round 1, Duncan isn't just going to submit this guy immediately when he's exhausted? I don't think we've seen anything that proves that. So give me Duncan by round 2 sub. I mean, I feel like the UFC is setting this up just because they want McKinney to succeed, and they're thinking who's the guy that we can be finished in round 1, but if he's finished in round 1, it'll look impressive because he's not a bum. And Duncan, he's got tough first rounds. He was knocked out early in his career. Charlie Campbell nearly had this guy knocked out in his Dana White's Contender Series fight. Then, Balaji Oki was destroying Duncan in the first round, gets submitted at the end of it. Jordan Vachenik's winning in the first round against him, gets submitted in the second. This guy, he has bad first rounds, and I think the UFC is trying to exploit that because Duncan's old, and maybe they don't really want him in the rankings, and they do want McKinney because he's exciting, and he's like a first-round knockout machine, and he's more marketable. And I think they're hoping that McKinney can finish him in the first round, and if he does that, then they can just be like, oh, well, look at the guy he just, Duncan was on this win streak, Now let's get McKinney a ranked fight. He's earned it. But I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening at all. Give me Duncan by second round sub. Next fight. Grant Dawson, ranked number 14 versus Manuel Torres. This is also a great fight. Grant Dawson by a slaughter. I think Dawson's just going to take him down immediately and TKO this guy in round 1. Listen, Manuel Torres has some grappling. He actually submitted Chris Duncan, which was great. He got hurt first in that fight, but he submitted Duncan. But this is Grant Dawson we're talking about. This guy's disgusting on the ground. People hate on Grant Dawson because he is boring. If he's not looking to ground and pound TKO you, he is happy just holding on to the back body lock and looking for a rear naked choke, or just holding there and landing little pot shots. I think that he's going to take down Torres and destroy him in a round here. I think we see Dawson looking to make a statement. So give me Dawson by round 1 TKO. Now, I placed these fights in the order that Dana White announced them and that they've been announced by Big Marcel. He's the guy who announces all the fights on Instagram. Give him a follow. But I don't think this is how the card should be ordered. Now, I haven't done anything drastic, but I just wanted to put this here just to give you my thought process. Main event and co-main, obvious, these should not be changed. Now, the featured fight, Dana White announced Blachowicz versus Guskov as the third fight, as the featured fight, I should say, which doesn't make sense to me because Moreno and Tyra are number 2 and number 5. It seems like it's setting up an obvious number 1 contender. That should be the featured fight. It's just because it's flyweight and people don't respect flyweight, even though it's the most skilled division, and everybody should love flyweight because all of the fights are amazing. Except for Stuart Little stinking up the fight last week on the Oliveira card. But, he's Stuart Little. He can go get caught in a mousetrap. But anyway, moving on from that. Listen, Moreno-Tyra should be the featured fight. It really should. Then Blachowicz, Guskov makes sense. 2 ranked light heavyweights. I might hate the division. I might not think it's very skilled. But it's 2 ranked guys. You got to give it to them. Cejudo and Talbot should be opening the main card. Talbot's not ranked. Cejudo's on a 3-fight losing streak. That should be opening the main card. Then these prelims, Grant Dawson's ranked, so that's why he should be the featured prelim. That's just my opinion. Then I put McKinney Duncan just because that one's going to be exciting. And I put Ziam and Sadikov below it because even though Sadikov is always in scraps, always in awesome fights, Ziam, it worries me because, he's not always in great fights. Now, he had a brutal finish against Matt Frivola, but before that, he was just winning. He was doing enough to win. And in his last fight against Mike Davis, he was also doing enough to win. Davis was being a little goofy there. But anyway, that's a good segue into my next slide. Now, I created 5 more fights that I think should be on this card. So I have a preliminary bout, and to fit with the theme of lightweight fights, I thought it was only fitting if we do a full lightweight prelims. I think that's a cool idea. Listen, the UFC doesn't usually do stuff like this. I just thought it was fun. But I added Mike Davis versus Nasrat Haqparast. I think that's a great fight. Doesn't that seem fun? Nasrat's coming off of 2 robbery wins. I don't want anybody to say, oh, he's on a 5-fight, 6-fight win streak, or whatever his win streak is. He's on this big win streak. He deserves a ranked opponent. No, he lost his last 2. He did not beat Ribovics. He did not beat Jared Gordon. Absolutely did not. In no universe ever can you score that for Nasrat. Gordon clearly won. Ridiculous. I hate judges. They're so infuriating. Now, Mike Davis, I set this up as punishment because I love Mike Davis and I think he would destroy Nasrat. I do. I love Mike Davis. He's one of my favorite lightweights. I think he wins. He could take him down and destroy him on the ground here, submit him if he wanted. I think he wins on the feet if they keep it standing. I think Mike Davis wins this fight anyway. That's why I set this up. I dislike Nasrat and want to see him lose because he's won 2 robberies in his last 2 fights. And Mike Davis, I enjoy, and he's a vicious fighter and will destroy Nasrat. So that's why I created this one. And it's also another lightweight fight. So these 4 early prelims, why did I say early like that? These 4 early prelim fights, I've got Bernardo Sopaj versus Cody Haddon. Neither of these guys have a fight booked. Haddon fought last year, and then he was injured earlier this year. I feel like his injury should be healed now. He should definitely be able to fight in December. And Sopaj fought Ricky Tercios at the start of the year and has not fought since. Both of these guys young. This is going to be a great bantamweight fight. 2 promising prospects, younger guys. And I just really want to see this fight. Is this not a great fight? Is that not good matchmaking? I mean, I think that's an awesome fight. The next one, Eric Anders versus Baisinger Susurkayev. Now, I set this one up because Susurkayev, he's a not Dagestani. He's a Chechen Russian fighter, but he's more of a striker. Now, in his debut, he fought Eric Nolan, and he grappled in the second round because it was the easier path to victory, because Nolan actually was giving him some resistance on the feet. But I set this one up because Anders is really nothing to worry about on the feet. So I think Susurkayev can win some fans by displaying slick, awesome striking. Him and John Pork are sort of setting the standard, this new standard for these Dagestanis and Chechen fighters to be like pure technical strikers as opposed to just either control-based grapplers or well-rounded guys who can kind of do everything but are a little bit boring like Islam and Umar. So Susurkayev, I'd like this matchup for him just because it would display his striking. Now, the next early prelim, I've got Ray Saruya versus Daniel Perez. This is horrifically biased matchmaking for me. I love Ray Saruya. I think he's an unbelievable talent. Tatsuro Taira is also on this card. I thought this would be a nice Japanese theme to have these guys have trained together. They don't train together 100% of the time, but they have trained together. And I think it would be nice to have him on the card. Now, I gave him Perez just because this is kind of a showcase matchup. I think Tsuruya can get his first finish in this fight. Perez has been submitted twice in the UFC already. And once by Andre Lima, who's a kickboxer. So I think Tsuruya should definitely twist this guy up and destroy him on the ground. Then the first early prelim, I had to do one that was just sort of like, two unks, Tim Means, if this guy's not retired, I don't think he's retired. I'm pretty sure he's not. It would suck if he was, and I just didn't realize that. But Tim Means versus Kenan Song. Now, these guys haven't fought. These are two older welterweights. Neither one of them's really dangerous. They're not anymore, at least. I mean, Tim Means used to be, I guess. But these guys aren't big knockout fighters. This is a nice, approachable matchup for either one to get a win. Tim Means coming off a couple losses in a row. Kenan Song coming off a brutal, out-cold wheel kick knockout from Muslim Salikov last year. That was horrific. So I just figured this was a nice fight for either one of them, Pitter-pat decision. One of them gets a nice win. Maybe Tim Means retires if he wins. Who knows? So, yeah. Thank you for watching this far. Thank you. Very kind of you. I appreciate it. Subscribe to MMA Rituals if you enjoy these types of videos. I love making them. I do. Subscribe, comment, like the video, share it around. Comment your thoughts on these fights too. I want to actually foster a community here and talk to people. So if you've made it this far, please comment. I'll respond. I want to hear thoughts on these fights. These fights are far away. I'm going to be thinking about them for a long time. If you want to talk about them, let's talk about them. So thank you for making it this far. I really appreciate it. Thank you.